Hello, astrological analysis for the month of November for those Gemini ascendants or Mithun lagna. When the November begins, the Jupiter is already in exalted state in the second house of Gemini ascendants. It's highly positive for the Gemini ascendants for the matters resembled by second house. The second house resembles your wealth and savings and about your family life and also the losses or gains you gain by your speech. So the exalted Jupiter in your second house means it's positive for all those matters, all those matters resembled by the second house. The Lord of your 10th house also, Jupiter. The Saturn is already there in your 10th house, uh, creating good and bad influences for your 10th house time to time. Your 10th house resembles your profession or your employment. So there, Saturn is in there in the long term, and it exerts good and bad influences time to time because it represents 8th house and 9th house at the same time. 8th house is the worst house of any birth chart, resembling setbacks in life and losses and sorrow and threatens to the life. Most of those things are negative things. So the lord of the 8th house is Saturn, and the Saturn also governs the 9th house. 9th house is uh, the best house in any birth chart. It resembles your luck and fortune. So Saturn governs 8th and 9th house at the same time. So when it uh, transits through your 10th house, that means both positive and negative influences to the 10th house time to time. Uh, it's not consistent. But as the lord of the 10th house, Jupiter aspect the 10th house, exalted Jupiter aspect the 10th house while staying in second house. That is highly beneficial for your profession and employment. For the growth of your profession, to get the promotions, and for those unemployment people to get good employment. So this aspect of the exalted Jupiter is highly useful. Jupiter also governs your seventh house, which resembles your marriage and the spouse. Even though Jupiter does not aspect the seventh house, as the lord of the seventh house becomes powerful, it's positive for your marriage and your spouse. But the Ketu in the third house in the marriage triangle and also Saturn in the 10th house exerts negative influences of on your 10th house, on your 7th house, means which resembles your marriage and spouse. But the Jupiter in the second house resembles the life after the marriage or married life. So that is good. The exalted Jupiter is positive for that. So that uh, brings you some positive influence for your marriage. So the mixed influences for your marriage. The Venus is in debilitated state up to 2nd November in your 4th house, which brings you negative influences for your long-term fixed asset, like for your properties like lands, buildings, your vehicles and your residence or your home. But when the month starts, the 2nd November, Venus departs from the 4th house. That will give you some relief for the matters governed by 4th house, and the Venus enters the 5th house and becomes stronger there. When the Venus enters the 5th house, then Sun is already in the debilitated state there in your 5th house, exerting malefic influences for the matters governed by the 5th house. The 5th house resembles your children and your education and also your love affairs. The Lord of the 5th house is Venus. Now, when the Venus arrives there, Venus becomes stronger as it belongs to the Venus. But the Sun will be there in the fifth house up to 16th November, creating troubles for those matters resembled by fifth house. But Venus becomes more powerful than debilitated Sun there as the Lord of the uh, fifth house. So it can diminish some of those malefic influences exerted by Sun as well as exert highly beneficial positive influence for those matters, for those uh, areas resembled by fifth house. And then when it comes to your sixth house, when the November starts, the Mercury and Mars is already there. Mercury will be staying there up to 23rd November, while Mars stays there in your sixth house up to 7th December. Uh, the seventh house, the sixth house resembles your illnesses and your enemies. The Mars is highly positive in the sixth house when it comes to your enemies, because it gives you the strength to overcome your enemies. And in fact, the sixth house resembles your stomach and also the digestion of food. So Mars helps you to digest your food well and uh, give you good appetite for the food. And but the Mercury there in the sixth house, it's not good for your health. It might bring you some health issues and especially skin related matters. On 23rd November, it will transit back to the fifth house, but before that, the debilitated Sun arrives there on 16th November to the sixth house and conjunct with Mars and Mercury there. Once the Sun departed from the fifth house, then the Venus will be there alone in the fifth house from 16th November to 26th November and exerting uh, maximum power in the fifth house, because it becomes powerful in the fifth house and exerting highly positive influences for your love affairs, children, and education. So once the Sun arrived to the sixth house, it will be there up to the mid of December, and together with the uh, Mars, Sun also exerts positive influences for the matters governed by sixth house because it's a warm planet like Mars. The warm planets are suitable to be in the sixth house, which resembles food digestion, because it is regarded that the warm planets are suitable to digestion of food. So proper digestion of food and to grow your appetite for the food, and also eliminating some of the health matters to become ahead because of the poor digestion of food. On 23rd November, Mercury returns back to the fifth house, but won't do any harm to the matters governed by fifth house, because Mercury also suitable to be in fifth house uh, than the sixth house. So Mars and Sun will be there in the sixth house up to the end of the month, even after that. But at the meantime, 26th November, Venus also comes there. But Venus is also not suitable to be in the sixth house. It is beneficial for the financial gains and those things, but it's not good for your health. And also, it will grow your appetite for sweets and junk foods, inviting troubles to your health. The Ketu south node is in your third house in the long run. The lord of the third house is Sun. That also will be in debilitated state up to 16th November, as I mentioned you earlier. So that is not good for your health either. And also the third house resembles your energy or your strength and your activeness. And for all those matters, the Ketu in the third house is not good. It will make you kind of lazy and also giving you troubles in your health. and also it is not good for your siblings. Another thing is that the Jupiter will be in straight motion in exalted state up to 11th November. After 11th November, uh, Jupiter retrogrades, but also still in exalted state up to 5th December. When the Jupiter is in retrograded mode, exalted, yes, but also in retrograded mode, then during that period the some of those positive influences of Jupiter might get delayed or disturbed, but don't worry, still the exalted Jupiter will be able to give you much of its positive influences during that period. So this astrology reading is based on uh, like it is like common reading, which is based on your lagna or ascendant. But to get a more personalized and more accurate astrology reading based on your birth chart, you have to refer to a professional astrologer and get that personalized and accurate birth chart reading. Because your birth chart resembles the exact positioning of planets and the relevant planetary aspects and Mahadasha, Antardasha, all those things in that paper, the birth chart. It's like the screenshot of the night, screenshot of the sky at the time of your birth. So to get the more personalized and accurate reading, you have to get that reading based on your birth chart. That is more accurate, and you have to get that from an astrologer, professional astrologer. And the remedies for those negative influences also will be given to you by that astrologer. And also, uh, the birth chart resembles your destiny, but it's not a fixed destiny. You can change it. That's one task was done by astrology over thousands of years to the human beings, because astrology guides you and like forecast the possible good and bad things to come and the weaknesses and plus points in your life. So once an intelligent person knew them early, he prepares early, plan early, and execute those plans to eliminate those negative influences to come ahead and get the maximum use of positive influences to come live and succeed their uh, lives and change their destiny in their favor. That's the way to change the destiny in your favor, and you can use the astrology as a guidance for that.